And let me just say this. We don't agree with the principle of women abuse.
Okay. Which is what we're definitely going to be discussing.
Women abuse.
Today. Yeah.
I need to say that because we had a big discussion with Soul City, and I made a pledge to them that besides me giving them the key to my office,
Oh yes.
and I know they're listening, that we will make sure that the discussion of gender-based violence, violence against women and children, the ill treatment and the abuse of old people, that will be part of our top priority in all our engagements, all political discourse. We will not allow that matter to be put only for December, 16 days of activism.
16 days of activism, and I'm really glad you mentioned that, because this week, or in late last week, I was in a discussion, and someone mentioned that, the problem is in South Africa, when we talk about GBVF, it's always about the women or the adults, and we neglect the children. Children are really, really exposed to GBV. Children are exposed to GBV in the home. Children are violated by parents due to alcoholism. The households are so toxic. Children are violated. A small percentage in the school, but largely in the home. And because, well, they're children, they can't exactly go and report, And the mother, or usually if, let's say, the breadwinner is the father, the mother will not even take action and say, but if the father is arrested, then who will put bread on the table? So children are really, really, really exposed to GBV, and it is silenced.
Let me just say, because today we're talking politics.
Yes.
Today we're talking politics. How do we as Africans feel? Let me start with this firstly. Respect, inhlonipho.
Yes.
It's part of our African tradition. I'm an African.
Yeah.
My mother was a Zulu princess. Buthelezi Mangosuthu was my blood cousin. I understand what inhlonipho means, respect. Can I ask the question to voters and listeners? If a child goes to bed hungry, ivuza mafini, ilunywa mosquito, in fact, it's even worse, ilunywa amagunda, rats.
Yes.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
What is it telling us? It's telling us that the government has no more respect. And if the government doesn't have respect, we're no longer in Ubuntu. We are conservatives. We're saying if you want to have a good society, we must start with respect. How do you respect? You give people decent services. You don't let people sleep on floors in hospitals.
Yes.
You don't make you make sure that sewage is not leaking. You make sure that children go to bed with food. You make sure that parents have a job. You make sure that issues of, for example, SA breweries. I can tell you now, I would tax them the highest, SA breweries, because they fomenting the society we're having, of a dysfunctional society which leads to violence against women, children. It's gender abuse, and that's my point. And two, if we have respect for our people, which we say is our culture, it's our culture, right? Why would we sit in city of Joburg, for example, while people in Alexandra have sewer running down the street? I was in Pimville.
Yes.
Pimville, eh? I was in Pimville. Just to go 1 kilometer from Eldorado Park.
Yeah.
Just 1 kilometer. And the filth is phenomenal. It's unbelievable. And that's my point. That we need to bring back Ubuntu. And unfortunately, this government, the Hulumen Law Authority, has moved away from the 1912. You know, when they formed themselves in 1912, in 1912 they said we are South African Native Congress, meaning ba sungulwa bafundis, because ANC was formed as a South African Native Congress by pastors and by elders, African elders, to bring back Ubuntu and to fight for the rights of black people. Right. Today, the very same people don't have a problem as long as they drive a BMW or a big 4x4, or they're wearing LV, Louis Vuitton, or Mapuzu Chwala, 20,000, and they're eating money with children in private schools, not in public schools. They don't care about our people. Our people are living in filth, and they say Malaiki budget. That is nonsense.
I once interviewed another politician and they mentioned the slay queen, that they just want to get a slay queen.
That's nonsense.
It's just gone 12 minutes before the hour, 6 o'clock. I have in studio the president of the Conservatives in Action SA, and I'm very happy that we actually got to get the definition, because like I said, I follow him on social media and there were questions around the name, because a few people were, you know, linking it or confusing it with the CIA in America. I'm like, ooh, we watch too much TV. So I'm glad he has clarified that. And now going through so many problems. We cannot exhaust all of them in one show, but South Africa has so many scourges. Now talking about informal settlements with the sewage crisis, I mean, in South Africa alone, there's over 4,000 informal settlements across the country, and these are home to about 2 million households.